Today, we are going to discuss the very first lesson from our new syllabus. The first lesson, an astrologer's day. The title is quite interesting. It makes all the readers to think about whether the lesson is about foretelling, is it something about our future, or is it going to deal to know how to understand future or something like that? Don't worry. In the very lesson, R.K. Narayan has given all the answers, and along with that, he has made us to be practical instead of running what we can't see or what cannot be proven. Accept the fact and reality and work on it with a scientific attitude. That's what R.K. Narayan has explained in the very lesson. R.K. Narayan, the pioneer of Indian English literature, has contributed greatly in English particularly. His name is Rasipuram Krishna Swami Iyer Narayan Swami. His life period was 1906 to 2001. He was one of the best known novelists among Indian English writers. He is the author of 14 novels, 5 volumes of short stories, and a number of travelogues are in his collection. He has contributed greatly in fiction and non-fictional too. He also wrote his memoirs, My Days, in 1975. R.K. Narayan created the imaginary town of Malgudi, where realistic characters in typically Indian setting lived amid unpredictable events. His stories are grounded in compassionate humanism and celebrated the humor and energy of ordinary life. His stories are characterized by a simple style and subtle humor. R.K. Narayan was introduced to American readers in 1952 by the Michigan Society or Michigan State University Press. These include Swami and Friends, The Bachelor of Arts, written by R.K. Narayan in 1937. His other work as The Dark Room, An Astrologer's Day, and other stories, Mr. Sampath, the financial expert, Waiting for the Mahatma, The Guide, and many other books have achieved the kingship in the minds of readers. Notably, his novel, The Guide, won him the Sahitya Academy Award in 1961. The novel has been transformed into the film also with the same title as The Guide. The movie, which was based on R.K. Narayan's novel The Guide, has won huge success and published so popularly. His writing is distinguished by humor and unoffending irony, a unique Indianness, and a simplicity which is utterly charming and authentic. R.K. Narayan typically portrays the peculiarities of human relationships and the irony everyone has his day. The title creates curiosity in the mind of the readers about astrology and astrologer's life. It also creates interest in reading to find out what is that particular day of the astrologer in the story. Accordingly, let's come for the next question. All the questions related to the astrologer and astrology, as the lesson is an astrologer's day. The first very icebreaker is discuss with your partner and complete the activity. What are your strengths? For example, one has been elaborated for yourself, an example of painting and drawing. Why do you feel so? Because it helps us to widen our visualize and it helps us to express unspoken things. How can one define or how one can identify their career? as the interest of painting and drawing can help one to go ahead in commercial artist, cartoonist, and so on. Likewise, I am discussing only one example over here. Rest, you're free to scratch your heads. For example, singing. Why do you feel so singing? Singing can be perfect if one achieves or if one learns to achieve mastery over voice modulations. It can be helpful for one to do the career in singing field. Let's take one more example. Acting, or shall we go for dancing? They helps us to express our passion, expression, or it gives a platform to speak what is unspoken. And the career opportunities are, we can do our career in film industry, we can be the artist, we can write short stories, one can be a good dancer, one can open his or her dance academy. Likewise, I'm giving you a platform now to think ahead and complete the given table in the very first ice break. Let's go for the next question. The scene in a local market of a village, town or city is very attractive. People with different occupations sells their wares. Discuss with your partner the variety of activities at the local market. For example, selling flowers, selling groceries, selling sweets, namkeens, bangles, artificial jewelries, handmade medicines, vegetables, and many other things. Even you can add rest as per your choice. In a village, the third question. In a village, town or city, it is quite common sight to see an astrologer sitting by the roadside with his professional equipment. So, discuss with your partner and list the requirement for his trade. Can you think about it? For example, many of the time as we have glimpsed or we can see, those astrologers are sitting roadside or generally those are sitting in a luxurious apartments. They are having the cards like tarot cards and other different types of cards. Roadside ones are having the parrots, cowrie shells. What is cowrie shell? It is kind of like seashell with different sizes and shapes to define the future and all are being used by the astrologers. Even they are having like red clothes, malas, beds, flowers, chilies, lemons, and many other things. As definitely, if I'm not wrong, even you must have seen many other. So, again I'm giving you a platform to complete the activity by using your own observations. Now, let's come for the question number 4 from the icebreakers. There are certain unreasonable beliefs among people living in our society. Certain common events are linked with superstitions. Like such events, discuss the superstitions linked with them and the means of their eradication. For example, if one sees the cat is crossing one's path, then definitely the person will think that it is a bad omen. He or she may fail to achieve success in their defined mission or whatever. Accordingly, other superstitions like to cut the nails at the night, to see the woman carrying empty pitcher, the scratches the left hand, right hand, to kill the cat, to blink the left eye, howling of the dog, to touch the trees at night, to blow the burning diya or oil lamp, to sit on the threshold. Many other superstitions are there in the society. But I appeal to you all, only for the sake of this completion, we have to note down the superstitions and practically how to eradicate the superstitions. We need to implement in our day-to-day life. How to eradicate the superstitions from life? Basically, one should keep scientific attitude, finding rationale behind by exposing their threshold, by creating social awareness drive through literacy campaigns, through stage shows, films, songs, plays, and TV programs. Basically, have a practical attitude. Do not run behind the things, those are not real. Accept the fact, and with the help of science, let's achieve the success in life. Thank you. This is all. Yet we have discussed about the icebreakers from the first lesson in Astrologers Day. Now we are going to check out the lesson. An Astrologer's Day. Punctually at midnight, he opened his bag and spread out his professional equipment, which consisted of dozen cowrie shells, a square piece of cloth with obscure mystic charts on it, a notebook, and a bundle of Palmara writing. His forehead was resplendent with sacred ash and vermilion, and his eyes sparkled with sharp, abnormal gleam, which was really an outcome of a continual searching look for customers, but which his simple client took to be a prophetic light and felt comforted. The power of his eyes was considerably enacted, en, enacted, enacted by their position placed as they were between the painted forehead and the dark whiskers which streamed down his cheeks. Even half-wit's eyes would sparkle in such a setting. To crown the effect, he wore a saffron-colored turban around his head. This color scheme never failed. People were attracted to him as bees are attracted to the cosmos or dahlia stalks. He sat under the boughs of a spreading tamarind tree which flanked a path running through the town hall park. It was a remarkable place in many ways. A surgical crowd was always moving up and down this narrow road from morning till night. Let's divide up to here. At the very beginning of the lesson, we have got the detailed explanation of an astrologer. It's a particular day, and the scene opens at the crowded place. It is eventually a marketplace where all the shopkeepers, all the roadside businessmen or hawkermen, they might have started their business. On the subsequent day, our astrologer from the story has also came early in the morning at the place and is trying to settle down his shop near by the roadside. His appearance, his eyes seems to be sparkled. On his forehead he has applied some ash and vermilion. He is wearing an orange turban around his neck. He is wearing some garlands and having some chanted books in front of him, cowrie shells and all. Definitely all the color combination will make one to pay attention or at least have a glimpse. And that's what the thing that people are getting attracted towards an astrologer to know their future, how to overcome on their problems and all. And by doing this business, the astrologer from the very story is making some money and running his home. So the place is very crowded. A variety of trades and occupations was represented all along its way. Medicine sellers, sellers of stolen hardware and junk, magicians, and all above, an auctioneer of cheap clothes who created enough din all day to attract the whole town are there. Next to an astrologer, next to him in vociferousness came a vendor of fresh groundnut who gave him wear a fancy name each day, calling it Bombay ice cream one day, and on the next day Delhi almond, and the third day Raja's delicacy, and so on and so forth. And people flocked to him. A considerable portion of this crowd dallied before the astrologer too. The astrologer transacted his business by the light of a flare which crackled and smoked up above the groundnut heap nearby. Half the enchantment of the place was due to the fact that it did not have the benefit of municipal light. The place was lit up by the shop lights. One or two had hissing gas lights. Some had naked flares stuck on poles. Some were lit up by old cycle lamps, and one or two, like the astrologer, managed without lights of their own. It was bewildering crisscross of light rays and moving shadows. This suited the astrologer very well, for the simple reason that he had not in the least intended to be an astrologer when he began life, and he knew no more of what was going to happen to other than he knew what was going to happen to himself in next minute. Let's take a overlook. Astrologer has settled down his shop, which gives detailed explanation about the site, number of the vendors they are doing their business. There is a healthy weather also, as we can see. The groundnut hawker was more a matter of study, practice, and shrewd guesswork. All the same, it was as much as honest man's labor as any other, and he deserved the wages he carried home at the end of a day. He had left his village, our astrologer had left his village without any previous thought or plan. If he had continued there, he would have carried on the work of his forefathers, namely, tilling the land, living, marrying, and ripening in his cornfield and ancestral home. But that was not to be. He had to leave home without telling anyone, and he could not rest till he left it behind a couple of 100 miles. To a village, it is a great deal, as if an ocean flowed between. Now the question is here in front of us. What made that astrologer to leave the house? To make money by doing the business of astrology in city. Do you think practically how much money he can make it by doing this business in city? It's not just about making money. He's having a family. As earlier discussion elaborates us, he's married, he's having a family. He need to earn enough money so he can feed himself as well as family to have their bread and butter. Number of the expenses are also there. If one is living in a city, it's not just about feeding oneself. So what made him to come in a city? If he might have stayed at his hometown, he might have done, or he might have earned a good money, or at least enough money to survive well or okay by doing ancestral business. He was having their home of his grandparents or forefathers. So what made him to leave his house? All those questions answers are lying ahead in the text. So Henceforth, we will discuss with my fellow department teachers. Now, I am expressing my thanks towards my students for listening all the audio gratefully. I, Dr. Brijesh, expressing wholehearted thanks. But the lesson is not over yet. We are going to continue in the next session. Thank you.